WNST Indianapolis all week long at the NFL Combine. I think one of the last times I saw this guy on the road, we were in Indianapolis in adjacent hotels and hanging out, having coffee, and getting ready for, I believe it was a beatdown that day, Bill Cole, if I remember it accurately. Bill Cole, of course, from Cole Roofing, and Pfister Energy, a frequent contributor here, mainly because A, he's a sponsor and he does roofs and does Pfister Energy, but B, usually when we get together at various corporate events, we're in the corner talking sports and business and life, and I figure, what the hell, let's put Bill on the radio here and hear what he has to say about the FBI and crooked college basketball coaches. Bill, the FBI, crooked basketball coaches, who knew, right?
Right, I can't believe it. It's such a shocker.
Well, I mean, at least on a local level, this found its way on the Turgeon's desk like within 3 hours, right? Like literally the press conference didn't exist. There was a release. The Terps are in the middle of this as much as anybody is, right?
Yeah, maybe not as bad, but definitely in it. But I don't think they're going to let anybody stand by and not be a casualty. And I think the strategy might be if we put them all in this, then no one can be individually excluded and no one gets destroyed and we just clean the whole thing up and it's kumbaya and move on. But
kind of like when 300 baseball players pee dirty?
Yeah, or every bank in America, we have a way of doing this, sure.
Well, I mean, I'm. It's like any of the sleazy, soft underside of any of this. I mean, had the government really wanted to go after baseball and Barry Bonds and Balco in a more grand way than what they did, and had they wanted to go after antitrust exemptions and all of those things that Mr. Angelos has taken cover behind and made a whole lot of money off of, they could have, I mean, I guess in a lot of ways, you just wonder what is the motivation and why here and why now over $100,000 bags of money that have been flowing since, I mean, at least the early 1970s, right? I mean, even John Wooden, the dear John Wooden, even he had a bag man apparently, right?
Yeah, I don't understand the why right now. What it concerns me is the camps that show up, right? So you get the number of people who say the government has no role, like isn't there more important things for the FBI to be doing? And then you get the schools who can't seem to get out of their own way, and then you get the consumer, the fans, us, we all know what's going on, but yet March Madness is still, maybe only behind the Super Bowl, like the biggest thing going. So we can't get out of our own way, they can't get out of their own way. The coaches, some of them I think are in a tough spot, other ones are active participants. And then you get the FBI to come in, and it just doesn't sit well at all.
Well, it was fun rooting for Diamond Stone those 4 months, just like it was fun rooting for Steve Francis, right? Like, it's fun when you get the best players, at least for a little while. I mean, Maryland has had exactly one chance, really, to be a Final Four team, and that was 2 years ago when Diamond Stone was here, and that was part of that, and Suleiman, and, all of that went in to that cocktail that, what was it? The sum and the parts did not equal, right? Especially on the coaching level with Turgeon, who struggled with that. Mello Trimble struggled through that year as well. But that was the best chance that they're going to have, having that kind of player for 12 weeks. And, what is the cost of that? Well, if nothing else, you get a little smudge on your record. If nothing comes of it, it's at least a smudge. The FBI's involved. I'm sure this will come back again. This isn't the last we've heard of this incident, right?
Well, even the language coming out of the coaches has shifted, I think, over the years. So you used to deny and try and stay at arm's length, and now I think you even see some of the older guys, the Hall of Fame guys, who are kind of like, well, if you don't do anything about this, this is what happens, and we've known it's been going on, and nobody wants to do anything about it. And so even their language has shifted to like, if you're going to make billions of dollars on us, how can you expect the kids not to want to get theirs? And then how does it not only take one or two corrupt programs to then break the glass and everybody go running through the door trying to pay all the players? So even the language coming out of the organizations say, well, why aren't we just paying these players? And football does the same thing, too.
Well, look, I got Ed O'Bannon coming on here. He's got a new book in court justice, and, all the money that's flown around that's gone to everyone except the worker bees, the guys dribbling and shooting, as they would say, stick to dribbling and stick to shooting. Well, March Madness begins again in a week and a half. Obviously, the Terps are going to stumble into this tournament up in New York this week. We'll see how long they last after Wisconsin at noon on Thursday. But it feels like a dead period around it. UMBC is going to have a little fun, and I would implore you to join me down at the gym at 1 o'clock on Saturday for UMBC this week. That's the one place something might happen around here, but it's a pretty quiet March Madness, and every year when we are stuffing our faces with pizza and wings and beer, which I think I've done that with you once or twice on a March Madness Thursday or Friday, somewhere between here and Harford County, Billy, that you would say, well, all this money circulating except to the kids dribbling all day on that Thursday and that Friday, and that is the weird, smelly, dirty part of this, and you do all these years wonder, it's going to change at some point. I've always thought that, right? Like, sort of the wall's going to come down like it did in Berlin. At some point, this is going to be done differently. And I tell you what, I really give them a hell of a hold for how much money CBS and the NCAA and Rick Pitino and Huggy and all of them, how much money they've made off of all of this, while the sort of run-of-the-mill regular guy shooting baskets didn't make much out of this.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly appreciate that position. However, I do kind of see the other side, and we can debate over what the value of a free education is, and to many of the student athletes who never go pro or aren't playing in one of the two big sports, they are getting immense value out of having partial, scholarships or part of their education, and then they take that and they go out into the world and they're productive members of society. Internships exist, right? So smart kids from UMBC come over here and work for my companies, and they're not paid as much as they will be paid, 5 years from now when they work every day and they've got experience. They get paid. It's a great gig for them, but it's a path. It's the way that you get to being an experienced, well-paid person. So I don't know that there's a right or wrong on this, and I think it's over the top. So, they can't buy a cheeseburger for a player. They can't, give them a flight home because mom got sick, so they have a hard time regulating it and creating rules around it. But at the same time, you're giving them a free education, so there's value there. So
how about this, though? How about if Diamond Stone would have won a national championship here 2 years ago, right? Like, it'd be a lot bigger story, right? If Diamond Stone had led them to the national championship game where they lost, 68-55 to Team X, or I don't even know who won, the Duke, whomever, right? That, God forbid, it would have been Duke. But if that would have happened, how much money would Diamond Stone have made for Maryland, and what would a $14,000 bag of cash would have been worth to anybody in and around that for what the relative value of that would have been, or what it already was, because they were at least the team had a chance to be that team that year. There was they sold more tickets because they were good. I mean, let's look at what not good looks like. We've seen that this year, right? Like, this is the first year they've been sort of in the tank, and you wish for a Diamond Stone or a Bruno Fernando around here, right?
Or the benefits that all that money brings to the rest of the university. So even the higher ups in the university are participants in this because they look at the money that football and basketball make that go into support other athletic programs or other facility improvements or all the other things that go on. So it's a very cloudy mix, and I don't think the FBI is coming in to help everyone solve it. Maybe that's the lightning rod that gets the conversation started, but you've had smart, what appear to be integrity-driven guys like Coach K or Tom Izzo, or and then they're you think they're all good, and then of course they've been participating, so no one's got an empty closet. There's skeletons everywhere, but it's I don't know. It will remain. Everyone will still fill their brackets out, and all the money will still get bet on.
He is Bill Cole from Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. He's a guy that I argue sports with in the real world, so I figured, what the hell, pull him onto the radio. Let's sell some roofs. And if you have a corporate space, a corporate place, a big roof, Cole Roofing is an answer for you. And at some point, Bill's going to come out to my land in Towson and put these solar things, these panels out, and we're going to make $1 billion together, like Scaramanga in The Man with the Golden Gun and the solar panels and James Bond. Right, Bill?
Yeah, I don't know. You
Maybe not.
You tend to set overreaching expectations, but that's okay. It gives us something to work towards.
But I could save money on my gas and electric bill.
You can, yeah. I mean, I would temper your exuberance, but yeah.
Hey, dude, I'm the guy that tried to fix the Orioles 12 years ago. You know, I mean, I ran the hill as hard as I could, but sometimes worse things to be than passionate, my friend.
I appreciate your hard-headedness and determination, right? It's what gets us through every day, no doubt.
I see a field with solar panels in our future.
There you go. I see them all the time.
Well, you do too on Route 50, right? I mean, like, this is not some spaceship we see anymore, like the one I used to see over in Dundalk that we were all going to live in, that little blue, the circular thing that everybody remembers and that I share pictures of sometimes. But these solar panels, this is like a real thing that you're doing, and it's not 10 years ago. This was sort of pie in the sky for you. Now it's like part of the reality of the universe, right?
Yeah, I mean, we participate in the solar farm business, and we build those. But I would encourage people, that's nice because we can see it and it's on the ground. But if you think about all the empty rooftops that you drive by on the way down Route 50 to Ocean City, and being able to put that small power plant on top of your roof and to feed that electricity straight into your building, I mean, that's the real goal of distributed generation. Is let's be the power of our own generating asset. So the farms are great. They're big. We can do them, and we're diversifying our energy portfolio as a country, and all that's really good. I just encourage people to understand in your own building, in your own business, what impact it would have to making what you're already doing more profitable.
Well, absolutely, and I think we could all stand to maximize whatever our potential and potentiality is at this point, and I know you've done that with Cole Roofing, and I've seen the pictures. Go up to Cole Roofing's website, see what you've done with some spaces up on roofs with gardens and with making things grow and with green spaces. I see that throughout the city now, that any time a building is built, it's not just a Vegas thing or a European thing, it's an everywhere thing. If you're building that kind of space, you are thinking about your roof right now as more than just literally, as my dad would say, a roof over your head, right?
Right. I'd like to tell people, let's use it for more than an umbrella for your building. I mean, it's space, and as space gets harder and harder to find, we need to be able to figure out ways to use that space effectively. We've done plenty of garden roofs where people have added square footage to their usable space because they have a rooftop deck or patio, and employees can go out there and eat lunch. We've also transitioned, from there to putting the solar on the roof and creating electricity that feeds the building. So we just, we know how to do roofs. We've been doing it for almost 100 years. We can keep the water out. Now that we've established that baseline, what can we do on top of that to make it even more valuable?
Well, keeping the water out is a problem when the water's coming in, and I promise you that. Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy, you can always find them through me, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. We're kind of all over the place together. All right, last thing for you, dude. I'm going out to the Combine, and I could do my best Phil Savage for you, and one day I'm going to do my best Phil Savage for Phil. I'm trying to get a Duquette together. Like, I watched that over the. I'm never going to. You've heard my Peter. My Peter's pretty good, actually. But I don't do a very good trots, so I'm not going to pretend that. And we are going to bring Barry Trotz out on March 29th. But Combine speaking here, Phil Savage many years ago tried to talk me in. Nasty, you got to come out to Indianapolis. I'll introduce you to all the scouts and the coaches, and you're going to love it because it's small, it's intimate. You get to see these players before they become anyone and wonder why we fall in love with a Ray Lewis or a John Ogden. And now, 20 years later, dude, it's grab a seat, stand over there. There's 2,000 media members, the Underwear Olympics. Dennis Koulatsos is our partner here. I've been trying to get him to go. He'll have it on HD, full screen, all weekend long. long. People love the Combine, man, and I think if you're a Ravens fan around here this year, this is a fun year to sort of fall in love with the draft and the Combine for 8 weeks. Gives you something to sort of focus on that's not the Orioles, certainly not the Terps. At this point, this is a fun year to look at the draft and who the Ravens might come up with, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the draft breeds hope, right? So I hope that we get the right people, and then we hope things fall our way. It's not as, critical as like wins and losses, so you're not devastated, but you like to pick and hypothesize, and you like to think about different players playing next to the other guys we already have. So I think they've done a good job making the draft about hope for the kid. They can tell you the story of his life and how hard it was to get to where he is and how hard he worked, and then now here's his chance, and he goes out and he runs a great 40 and he moves up the board, and now he lands in our lap and we pick him and he turns out to be, great or not. So I think it's about hope. It's fun.
Got any hope for the Orioles? You know what my hope is, right? You follow me. Now come on now. They've got a certain left-hander here who's crafty, who's coming along from the Yankees organization. He fulfills their two favorite words, Rule 5, right? Like literally, Nestor Cortez, dude. Nestor Cortez going to make the rotation. Jim Hunter's going to have to say Nestor 100 times a night. I'm going to love that.
Yeah, I'm not there. Maybe in a couple weeks I'll pay attention. But
if they had a guy named Bill Cole that was a lefty, would you be watching?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Have you met other Bill Coles? I mean, I've met other Bill Coles.
Yeah, I think so. There was one in a football movie years ago. The guy runs out. I think he's the one that pulls the gun out of his football pads.
We had a Bill Cole in City Council who's also a professor here locally. So, I can introduce you to the other Bill Cole. I have 2 Bill Coles in my phone. It's true.
I've been confused with him before.
I bet you have. Absolutely. You're like, I do roofs. I don't do cities, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I'm not there on the Orioles, and in a conversation, with my wife, it was the Olympics are over. I think she's happy about it because she's tired of watching those, but she knows what's coming, and that's basketball, so she's not super excited. So it's kind of where the world is right now.
I was in the mood for a nap on Friday. It was about 1 o'clock, and I realized the Orioles were coming on. I put Hunter and Bordick on, and my wife's grabbing me at 6 o'clock saying, honey, it's time to wake up. I mean, you got to get some work done here. Wake up. So I literally slept from the third and a half inning. And I was so at one point, they're like, and Nestor Cortez will be pitching tomorrow. And I'm like, damn. I mean, I only tuned in to watch him. And, he and I have kicked up a little one-way friendship on Twitter. I keep tweeting at him. Someone clearly's pulled him up and said, don't tweet back at that guy, whatever you do, Not with a name like Nestor, please,
But it's good that they're bringing you the value of being able to have a nice nap. I mean, that's something,
6 months I've had it there, and I just wasn't up for that Nationals Classic on that Tuesday night back in November or December. So, life goes on, man. We'll be at the Combine. I will check in with you again next week. At some point, you're going to get excited about Chris Tillman's progress here and excited that 7.84 will no longer be his ERA.
Yeah, well, we can hope. We can definitely hope.
We can all dream a little bit.
I know that it'll be warm when that happens, so I'm excited about that.
Have you ever been motivated to go down to spring training? I mean, you're like a big sport. You would be a guy if you still love the Orioles, and if we still love the Orioles, you would be a guy that would do 5 days down there with your family, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever do 5 days, but I did have a conversation with a guy who, him and like 4 of his buddies, it's an annual pilgrimage, and they do like 3 days down there and catch like 2-3 games.
Play golf, fish, whatever. Yeah, right, all that, right.
That sounds fun. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Hey, my mother-in-law lives 20 minutes south of the stadium. My wife's going down later on in the month. I'm going down for the owners' meetings at the end of March. But, I mean, opening day is the 29th. It's a Thursday. Most people don't know that yet. They sort of haven't wrapped their arms around it not being a Monday in April, right? I don't think they've done a very good job of promoting that either, but opening day is a Thursday. That evening, we've got Barry Trotz joining us for a swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry for There Goes My Hero as well. And believe it or not, the owners' meetings, the John Harbaugh breakfast, that's going to happen on the 27th from Orlando is where the owners' meetings are this year. So, football and baseball, there's not going to be, any sort of delineation here. They're just going to run together, and that's where we are right now with the Combine sort of overshadowing spring training right now. I'm sure the owners' meetings would overshadow, all of that going into opening day as well. And if the Orioles don't get a good start, God bless them on cold April night selling tickets. That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Football has continued to kind of ease into baseball land. I mean, even when training camp, look at the kind of publicity they can draw around training camps. When did we start going out to it? You can't anymore, but back then you could go out there, and that was a big deal. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw that everybody got on the junket last week and went down to Sarasota, and all the Vivianos and Cunninghams are standing in front of Machado's locker, to basically begin the Inquisition, right? Like, when are you leaving? Where are you going? Shortstop. When are they going to trade you? How are they going to trade you? They're going to get value. How do you stay out of the slump last year? And here we go again with Machado, and none of it's, hey, any plans to stick around after August or October, right? They've sold that to the fan base already, right? Like, he's gone, we all know it, so there is no cold splash of water like there was for Messina a generation ago, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's probably disappointing that that's the position, but they would probably looked at like they were crazy if they tried to take any other spot, like a overly optimistic local wearing the orange glasses kind of sports reporter. So maybe it makes more media, or it makes a bigger splash if they're claiming that he said he wants to move, or he wants to be at this team, or he wants to stay. That's the piece they're looking for, right? No, I'm committed to staying here. I'll give a discount. That's the piece they're looking for.
Well, Adam Jones may be that guy when he takes a look at the Homestead Homies market of this offseason. It's not, he goes out and has an incredible year. His upside's going to be, hey, Adam, you want 2 for $20? It's crazy the way they've suppressed this market here in the offseason that makes it, very problematic for the Zach Brittons and the Adam Joneses and the Brad Brocks who are going to be walking out of here soon, right?
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. There just doesn't seem to be the same loyalty and all that. And we've talked about that for years in baseball or in any other sports.
Well, the days of Brooks are gone, right? Literally.
Right. All those guys. Even when I was a kid, there were guys. Ryan Sandberg was a Cub. There were lots of guys who were lifers, and it just isn't that way anymore. And I don't know. You hope your team does what they can to hang on to good players, but if they don't and they refill the roster and 2 years later you're in the playoffs, people are okay with that too. So I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer to that one.
All right, man. And this week I've started talking about the World Cup because that feels to me like the next thing that I'm really going to be into. That's not the Stanley Cup playoffs, which we'll get into later on. But I've looked at this World Cup lineup here without the U.S. You and I need to have friends during late June to just watch some soccer with at some point. So you and I need to figure out a cheeseburger and a beer plan for some soccer in late June. I'm just letting you know way ahead of time.
Yeah, that's going to be really hard. That one I only pay attention because the U.S. is in, and I have
But we're not in, so we have to pick a new.
Pride.
No, pick a new place. Come on, support Iceland or something, man. Take Australia, take on Morocco or somebody. Support Uruguay or something, right?
I guess. I don't know. I'll ask my son. He knows all them better than I do.
All right, he probably likes Messi. They're probably going to root for Argentina. Pick a team, man. Come on. Get involved in the World Cup.
All right, I'll work on it.
All right. At one point, we'll be a real country again. They'll let us in.
Yeah, right.
We'll be able to beat, like, El Salvador or somebody.
I don't know. It's the same thing with the Winter Olympics. You're just good at some stuff and not good at others. And that should be okay, right? The world's a big place with lots of people. Can't be good at everything.
Hey, look, I'm just happy those people in Norway are happy because you know how crazy they are when they're not happy there. They might set the planet on fire or something in Norway.
Right. Everybody's good at something.
Appreciate you, man. Don't take the Terps too hard this week, man. We got opening day around the corner.
All good, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
He is Bill Cole, Cole Roofing. He is my pal. I like to argue sports with him and occasionally have an adult beverage. We've been friends for many years. They are sponsoring all that we do here at WNST.net. You can learn more about what Cole Roofing does with corporate and commercial roofs. and roof spaces and Pfister Energy and solar panels and all that stuff. And I didn't even talk robotics with him. I'll do that next week. He's very involved in robotics. I'm trying to learn about robotics because all the cool kids are talking about it. You can find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. And if you're looking for us this week, we are going to be in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. Luke and I will be out there mixing it up with coaches and scouts and pundits and people and fun. And it's not even going to be stupid cold, which I'm very, very happy about that part of it. I'm kind of in the mood to eat too much food and get unskinny and get myself on a yoga mat somewhere out in Indianapolis. So stay tuned. All the fun moves to the internet beginning this week out in Indianapolis for all NFL Combine coverage. All of it brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank. I've been drinking from my Howard Bank cups here. A relentless commitment to be the best at everything they do. Branches now throughout Baltimore and Maryland. They're going to be sponsoring our Thursday community segments along with Cole Roofing and Pfister Energy. Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast, tasty coffee. I want you to download that Royal Farms app and start using that when you're pumping gas. Start using that because I know you go to Royal Farms. I know you do. I see people like you in there. When I'm in there getting gas on Key Highway, I'm there all the time. I see the donuts. I don't get them very often. I see the Ben & Jerry's. I don't always get it. Sometimes I get it. The fried chicken, it's hard to walk away from. I'm not going to lie to you. I get the fried chicken a lot. I don't get the Western fries as often as I should because sometimes I go piece by piece. Sometimes I'm not in the mood for Western fries. A lot of times I am in the mood for Western fries, and I just don't do it. But I'm going to do it more often. I promise you that. Royal Farms back on with WNST where they belong. And we'll be telling you more about the app and all the things they're doing there with Justin Tucker as well. Our morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That is brought to you by our friends at Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. It's always $10 a month at Planet Fitness. There's never any commitment, and you can always get some inspiration at PlanetOfTriumphs.com as well. And our morning newspaper now featuring the Maryland Jockey Club entries for Laurel. Always there for you each and every morning in the paper. You get the entries also on the front of our WNST.net website. Big thanks to the Maryland Jockey Club. You'll be hearing more about the upgraded facilities and all the cool stuff that they're doing at Laurel as we get ready for racing season around here. It's always racing season. You can find me this week, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.